Well, everyone, we are doing it again. We are talking about annuities. And the reason is, well, a couple factors. We've had a lot of good feedback on the series that we've done so far, and there's still so much to talk about. So in today's episode, we're really handling the gotchas or the things that you need to know about. Because so far we've talked to you about how an annuity can earn money, how it can provide lifetime income, but what are the things that you need to be thinking about when it comes to purchasing an annuity? And so today we're handling that on annuities number 7.
Yeah, you think about it. I think each of the episodes that we've done thus far, I don't know, somewhere around 15 minutes each. Could you do 7 times 15? And nobody wants to sit there and listen to annuities for that long. And it can get overwhelming. So we break it up into bite-sized pieces. So just so you know, we've got one more in this that's going to come out, and that's going to be our final one of the series. Not saying we won't ever talk about annuities again, but that's going to conclude this entire series. So if you've missed any of them and you want to go back, it's clearly labeled annuities part 1, 2, and all the way through. So anyway, we look forward to today's continuation of our annuities discussion. Just as a brief reminder, if you've not been able to do so, we certainly do appreciate it. And we have so much value when you do this. If you've not had an opportunity, please give us a 5-star rating if you feel that it's worth 5 stars. And write us a little review. We appreciate so much those reviews. We've gotten quite a few of those. It certainly is a good thing for us. If you're listening to some of these shows and you're thinking, do you guys have anything else that you do to help us kind of walk through individually? The answer to that is yes. You can go to our website, pomwealth.net/blog is the best page for content. We have a lot of articles there. And on the right-hand side, you can actually click on a little couple things there. One of them is our 4 steps to secure your retirement. It's a video series, a mini video series, and it walks you through kind of the things you need to think through when it comes to planning for and living through retirement. It's completely free. It's just Merce and I walking you through that series. So if you want to do that, feel free to do so. But before we start, we have to do what we always do, and that's have a little disclosure.
That's right. Before we dive into the fun stuff, just got to remind you that the information contained in this podcast is intended to provide general information only and not to be considered individualized advice. Different types of investments carry different levels of risk. As always, please contact your financial professional for any advice appropriate to your specific situation. Enjoy the show.
All right, we've been taking you through annuities now for a few of our podcasts, and we're kind of wrapping this all up. But we want to take you through this idea of, because this is a question, how liquid is the annuity? How does it compare? And how do you put that together with maybe an overall plan and understand liquidity? So we're going to take you through that today, but we want to just do a brief review before we do that, just to bring us up to where we are today. So Merce is going to take us through the review, and then we'll get into the liquidity issues.
Yeah, so very high level, quick review, just to catch everyone up to speed if you haven't been following the previous episodes. So in the world of annuities, what we're talking about is the deferred world of annuities. So there's the immediate, where you do it very quickly. You give the insurance company money and they immediately spin you off a income stream. We're not talking about that. We're in the deferred side. So you put money into the annuity and then you're just letting it work. In the deferred world, there's really 2 sides. There's the fixed side, and then there's the variable side. The variable side, we're also not talking about. That's really the world where you can go take that money inside the annuity vehicle, invest in the mutual fund world, invest in the stock market. And so there's pros and cons there. Pros is you can make money. Con there is also you can lose money in this vehicle. And then also people talk about how the fees can be rather high in these vehicles to cover a bunch of different little things. So we're not talking about the variable side. We're really focused on the fixed annuity side. In that world, there's 2 main categories. There's the traditional and the index. The traditional is very much like a CD at a bank. So you give the bank some money and they basically say, okay, for this period of time, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, we can give you a fixed rate, whatever that percentage is. So you know exactly how much you're going to earn in that CD. Traditional is very similar. The insurance company, rather than the bank, is going to give you a fixed rate of return for a period of time. So what we're really focusing on today and in this whole series has been the fixed index annuity. So it's not a guaranteed rate that you're getting. It's more of your rate or your interest is linked to an index, kind of like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and various other ones out there. So your interest is linked to however the index performs. The annuity itself is tax deferred, and very importantly, it's principal guaranteed, which means you cannot lose money due to market volatility. Unlike in the variable world where you can lose if those mutual funds fall, the fixed index world is saying if the indexes fall, you are protected, and that's the whole point of why we would ever do a fixed index annuity. So when we've covered this as well, but very quickly, just an idea as to how the fixed index annuity earns some interest is a couple of different things. You could have a cap, or you could have a participation. There's some other strategies out there, but those are the two most common. So let's say you put in $100,000 into the annuity on January 1st, and you get down the period to January 1st of the following year. That right there is called a reset period. So a point to point, January 1 to January 1 of the next year. And whatever the index does, the S&P, the Dow, NASDAQ, whatever it is, whatever that index does in that period of time is how the calculation is going to be done on how much interest you earn. So if you're in a cap strategy, and let's say the cap is 5%, and let's say the index goes up 10%. Well, your cap is 5, so you earn 5%. You put in 100,000, your 100,000 is now 105,000. Let's say you're in a participation where you participate 50% in the index, and the index goes up 20% and you get 50% of that. So you get 10%. So your 100,000 that went in that 1 year period has now become 110,000. So that's just a quick high level on how to earn interest in these fixed index vehicles. Very importantly, one of the biggest reasons as to why we like these so much from a safety perspective is, let's say that index falls by 30, 40, 50%. If you're in the stock market, you are falling by that 30, 40, 50%, and it's uncomfortable. In this world, in the fixed world, you cannot lose due to market volatility. So if the index falls 30%, you make a zero for that year. So a lot of power there. And we've talked about it in previous episodes as far as how all that works, but just a quick recap on how you can earn the interest in the vehicle. Now, there's really 3 reasons why we have talked about anyone would consider doing an annuity or buying an annuity. The first and the most common really is for safe, good accumulation. So it's a vehicle where you can put money in, you're not worried about it losing money, and it's going to make a decent rate of return. And it can be a really good addition to the overall plan. The second is guaranteed income. Guaranteed income, kind of like creating your own private pension. So imagine you put in a chunk of money and you know that at some point in the future, it is going to spin off an income that you cannot outlive, just like a pension or just like your Social Security. So another layer that we can add to all the different fixed income sources that we have. So that can be used very, very well in the plan as well. And then the third, I would say the least common, but it does happen every now and then. Let's say you can't qualify for life insurance, but you wanted to have some type of enhanced death benefit in your plan. So maybe you put in $100,000 into an annuity and they're going to turn around and give you a higher death benefit. So that is also a way that it is used. I would say not the most common, but it's out there. So what we're really talking about today is in the world of the fixed index annuity, we've talked about how you can earn the money. We've talked about the income riders that you can add on. And so now we get the question of, well, what are the gotchas? What do we need to know about? How does this really work? And is there anything that we need to be thinking about when we're thinking about purchasing an annuity and adding it to our overall portfolio? And there are some things that you need to know about. It's all about putting things into perspective. So that's what we're really going to do today, is talk about perspective and how it works. There's 2 major things that you should be thinking about if you're thinking about an annuity. Number 1, and really in any investment, is liquidity. So liquidity, very quickly, is your access to the money. So let's say you're at the bank and you've got money in the bank. Well, that's very liquid. You can go today and withdraw that money if you needed to. Let's say you're invested in real estate. Well, I would say that's not very liquid because you have to sell the property in order to get some cash out of it. The stock market, I would say that's pretty liquid in the sense that you can sell a stock and get the proceeds from that sale a few days later. So we're going to address today what liquidity is within the fixed index annuity world. And then also there's these things called surrender charges. So we got to think about what the insurance company is doing. The insurance company is guaranteeing you protection in the annuity. And so in order for them to do that, there are these things called surrender charges. And so we're going to talk about that as well. But first, I'm going to hand it over to Radon to address the liquidity and what we need to be thinking about there.
Okay, so when we're talking to folks about this as a part of their portfolio, then yes, they want to know, how do I get access to my money? How do I get to it? How much can I get to it? And so what I want to do now is take you through perspective of liquidity. Now, most annuities allow for you to get a free withdrawal amount. And I say free because it does not incur a penalty. So it's penalty free. Well, how much is that? Well, it depends on the annuity. The majority of the annuities that we would ever talk to our clients about is anywhere from 7 to 10%. So think about it. If you put $100,000 into an annuity, you're going to have, $10,000 of liquidity out of that annuity. So you put in there, you got 7 to 10,000. Most people are good with that amount, but then they're going, wait a minute though. What if I have an emergency, or what if I have something that really, it makes me have to have more than that 10%. Now we're going to talk about what a surrender charge is in a few minutes, but right now I just want to help you to have, again, perspective. So to get this perspective, what we want to do is take a scenario where we say we're going to put an amount of money, and the amount of money is $1 million. So you got $1 million that you've put. Now, what we want to do, though, is to give it perspective, is we've got two sides of the annuity. We've got one side that is going to be liquid. And that money there, we're not going to have any kind of surrender charges. We're not going to have any kind of fees. So let's just say that we did something where we did a 50-50 split. So on the liquid side of the $1 million, we're going to invest $500,000. So we got the $500,000 over there. It's invested. Let's just say it's in stocks or bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, whatever that might be. It's liquid. I can sell it. I can get cash without a penalty. Now, if I take the other $500,000 and let's say I put it into something that's going to give me a safe, good accumulation like an annuity, and I've got limited liquidity on that $500,000. Well, what does that look like? Well, remember, what's my total liquid amount liquid? Well, it's $550,000. But how do we come to $550,000? Well, remember, the $500,000 is liquid. The $500,000 that's in the investment side is liquid. The $500,000 that's in the annuity has limited liquidity. In this example of 10%, so $50,000. Now, let me ask you a question. If that were your scenario, can you dream up a emergency that would say, I need more than $550,000 lump sum upfront right now, no penalties? It would be very difficult to dream that up. I mean, we'd have, even under major health issues, that would be a thing that we could handle within that range. So when Merce and I are doing a plan with anybody and we're talking about putting annuities into the plan, we are never recommending that we take all of somebody's money and put it into an annuity, because the liquidity is a factor that we have to think about. But if we split it some way, well, I don't care if it's 50-50, 70-30, 80-20, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to have a good amount of liquidity. There's one thing that Merce and I never want to have a conversation with a client, and that is to say, they come to us and say, I need money. And we say, well, remember, we can't get access to that. You don't have access to enough money because we're not liquid. But if we understand an overall plan, then we're going to be liquid. All right, so now you get the picture of this, but I want Merce to take you through the surrender charge schedule just so you can understand how that works, because the surrender charge is not there forever. So Merce, can you walk us through the surrender charge?
Yeah, so the surrender charge is basically a period of time in which there would be a penalty if you were to take above what they call the free withdrawal amount. So let's just go with 10%. And let's say you've got $100,000 in this annuity. So your free withdrawal amount, 10% of 100,000 is $10,000. You can take out $10,000 per contract year with no penalty whatsoever. That's the liquidity that Radon just talked about. Now, let's say that you needed $11,000. Well, that first 10 is free, and then the 1,000 will be subject to a surrender charge penalty. And the whole reason, you have to remember what the insurance company is doing. The insurance company is guaranteeing that they are going to protect your investment, so you cannot lose due to market volatility. In order for them to do this, they have to go into some pretty long-term investments. And so they're allowing a 10% withdrawal for free and giving you that access. But if you're going to go more than that, well, then they're going to incur penalties to get out of some of the investments that they're in. In all essence, they're going to just pass that penalty over to you. That's kind of a very simplified way of looking at what a surrender charge is. For the majority of annuities that we work within, you can have a surrender charge schedule from anywhere from a 7-year window to up to a 12-year window. And so, for example, let's say we're in a 10-year annuity, so a 10-year surrender charge schedule. So what that may look like, and this can be different from company to company, so this is just an example. Let's say you're in year 1 and you need access above the free withdrawal amount. Well, that surrender charge could be up to 12%. And then year 2, 3, 4, 5, you get down the line, it's a declining surrender charge schedule. So the longer that you are in the annuity, that percentage as far as what the surrender charge penalty is goes down. So by the time you're in year 7, that penalty is now 8%. By the time you get to year 11, that penalty has gone to 0%, and you are what they call out of surrender. So just a quick way for you to understand, if you're taking above, or if you have to get more than what the free withdrawal amount is, there could be some penalties there, which kind of goes back to, well, let's make sure we're structuring the liquidity properly in the overall portfolio, making sure we have enough in the side of investments that are accessible, and then we have a certain amount over in the side where we may have limited liquidity there as well. So a nice, well-balanced plan, and we're never really worried about liquidity at all. So to close, I think it would be good, Radon, that we discuss, with every investment, there are pros and cons, and with every investment, there are limitations as to how they can work. So I think it's good we put an annuity in. Let's give the annuity some scope as to what you're getting and what you're giving up. And then let's compare it to a couple different things.
All right. So what are the 3 elements of investing or to investing? Well, if you want to, you can take notes on this and it might help you visually see it. And you can just number on a piece of paper 1, 2, 3. So 3 places. And then right by side, number 1, write safety. Number 2, write liquidity. And number 3, write growth. Now, if you look at these 3 elements, if we wanted to build the perfect investment, we would say it's 100% safe, 100% liquid, and we get amazing growth. But let me ask you this, do you think we have the perfect investment? Absolutely not.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So we can't have all of those things. We have to really pick 2 of them, and you have to give up one of those in order to have an investment. Let me make an example. Let's say that you're really concerned about safety and liquidity. Those are the 2 you want. Well, what kind of investment out there would be safe and liquid? Well, we would think of something like a money market. But if I've got a money market, do I have good growth? No, I had to give up growth so that I could get safety and liquidity. All right, let's think about the stock market. What does the stock market give me? The stock market gives me liquidity. I can sell my investments, and it potentially gives me really good growth, but I can't get safety. You see, if I'm invested in the stock market, I've got potential of loss. So I have to give up safety if I want liquidity and growth. So you see, we've always got one of the three that's not in play. All right. What if we say this? What if I say I want safety and I want growth? Well, I'm going to have to give up some liquidity. That would be a fixed index annuity. I don't have 100% liquidity, but I got safety and I've got growth. So if you think about that and you say, okay, which of the two are really important to me? It helps you to start to pick your investments. It helps you to start thinking through what would I be a part of. Now, in an ideal world, if I want to get all three of those things, safety, liquidity, and growth, what do I need? 3 different types of investments. I can't get it on 100% of my money, but if I have all 3 of those investments in my portfolio, or all 3 of those different types of investments in my portfolio, I really have all 3. I've got safety, liquidity, and growth. So we hope that this has been helpful to kind of get your mind around how this might fit. We have one more of our annuity series that we're going to do on this topic, and we're going to really kind of take you through an implementation of how this would look in an overall portfolio. So we're going to give you a fictitious client, but we're going to walk you through how that all works. So that'll be coming out soon. By the way, if you're thinking about all these things and you're looking at it, don't forget you can go to our website, which is pomwealth.net/blog. There are lots of articles on all of these topics that lay it all out for you right clear in writing. And you can also opt in if you'd like to get our 4 steps to secure your retirement. It is a mini video series that walks you through all these things. It's completely free. So go check that out if you've not been able to do so thus far. We thank you very much. We look forward to talking to you next week.